So his question was, first of all, is the Church of Satan, or his comment wasn't a question, is the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple, is it technically a religion? So different satanic groups will say that they are not religious or not a religion, and they do that because, like, if it's the Church of Satan, they're technically atheistic, and they see Satan as kind of this symbolic figure that you direct it's like a higher version of yourself to direct your will and intention towards to better yourself. So that's the Church of Satan view. I don't know exactly what the Satanic Temple's technical philosophy is, but there's other groups that call themselves theistic Satanists, and they believe that there is an actual kind of entity that you can worship and invoke, like the Temple of Set or whatever. So, I mean, this is probably just one of the fundamental problems in American Enlightenment philosophy, is that, you know, it's grounded in this idea that the ultimate principle is Enlightenment rationalism and the freedom of conscience and the freedom of worship, which means that basically every religious position or non-religious position is on an equalized footing. And of course, we don't believe that. We would easily precept that into oblivion. But it is the Enlightenment doctrine of, you know, of America. And I know that, but the original founders didn't believe in separation of church and state. I know all this. I've heard that. It's a separation of church and state, not God from state. But the God that they believed in is a generic, meaningless, natural theology God. It's not any specific deity. So it's really irrelevant that they had a separation of church and state, because there really is no, that's premised on dividing God from church, right? So there's not any true church. There's just a generic God of nature. That's the Enlightenment, natural theology, natural religion view. And being more consistent with that, America eventually evolved in the direction of more and more atheism, more and more Enlightenment presuppositions, to where it's just a kind of agnostic, deistic, and outright atheistic position, to where there's no reason why any position is above any other position. All positions are equalized, and ultimately the arbiter is the corporate state. So even though America is supposed to be an Enlightenment libertarian, you know, free market, freedom of religion, whatever milieu, the actual praxis of it means that it evolves to being a corporate state. It's run by a shadow state, which, by the logic of its own governance, promotes degeneracy, promotes anything hedonistic, because that furthers the system's control over people. So that's the logic of the system that we're under. So I would say that it's not even really a question of some bizarro group of this satanic group or whatever. It really just goes back to the Enlightenment presuppositions of do what thou wilt anyway. And that's an Enlightenment doctrine way before Crowley, right? This is like Marquis de Sade and Rabelais and these characters, like they were saying, do what you will, way before Crowley was. So Crowley's just borrowing from those dudes. So either we live in a godless world where you can do what you will, or there is a God, and that's wrong. And you can't have a government set up around neutral Enlightenment presuppositions of natural theology and natural religion, because there's no such thing as natural theology and natural religion. So you either go in the direction of atheism or Christian theism. There's no options. And there's other options, but they're not consistent. So you're talking about America's pseudo-Christianity. Yeah, I would say 95% of it's all garbage and trash and fake Christianity anyway. Doesn't mean everybody in those groups is insincere. It means the expression of those Christianities, so quote unquote, are inauthentic and are basically captured institutions. And that's why they push all the same stuff that the degenerate society pushes, because they were bought and paid off and controlled a long time ago, especially all the Protestants. They were co-opted explicitly, I'm saying, by the same power structure. I mean, the Protestants have always been wrong, but I'm saying that their institutional capture occurred in the 1920s and 30s with the Protestants. That's when explicitly they were taken over by moneyed interests like the Rockefellers on record, through various seminaries and universities being created and bought off. And then later, by the time of the Cold War and Vatican II, is where you really get the on-the-ground subversion of the Roman Catholic Church. Again, I believe the papacy was wrong for a long time, 1,000 years plus, but the on-the-ground subversion by the present-day power structure that runs the Western world, that occurred explicitly in the Roman Catholic Church at the time of Vatican II and afterwards, and that's why we're really just seeing the manifestations of that with Klaus, basically. I mean, with Francis basically saying the same stuff Klaus says. So, and basically Klaus's BFF is Francis's mentor. So that's where we are. But I would just say that, you know, I would agree with you that most of what passes as Christianity is just another form of Satanism.